So I realize we're really fuzzy. It's kind of dark out right now, but I don't have the right equipment really, and I don't have money for the right equipment. I don't know if I care all that much. But I will say this. If I reach like 1,000 subscribers and or 1,000 book sales, maybe I'll put that money back into this a little bit. The truth is I kind of miss old YouTube, whereas, you know, this like off the cuff, badly performed, like, I don't know, I feel like it's getting a little bit overproduced. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, so, I was thinking about this, where in my Berserk video, I realized I was kind of touching on a bunch of literary tropes and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just start doing a little bit of a series on some like literary devices or rules that I have for myself when I write. Like I have my rule of 3 mistakes and I stop reading the book if the hero makes 3 mistakes. That's also a rule I keep in the back of my head when I'm writing, and actually prevents a lot of writer's block, because it's the, okay, if to get the plot to happen I need the hero to do something astronomically stupid, I need to rethink what I'm doing here. So I think the one I'm going to start with, because it was kind of touching on that a little bit in the Berserk video, of like why Guts is not a hero, and it's because he has a body count that is a mile long, and it's not just demons, it is people, and it's a lot of innocent people too. Like I said, he kills a literal child, and there is a rule of, you kill a child or a puppy, you're evil, okay? So this is the thing. Heroes are not allowed to kill, and they're not indiscriminately, but they're really not allowed to kill. So there's the faceless mooks, which that's just fodder. It's this is not a character. This might as well be a cardboard cutout, you know, and you can shoot that to your heart's content. And that's what makes like pulp action things fun, because you do want to see the hero, you know, be, I don't want to say the word, I don't want to say the word because I was reading a really dumb book and it just, every other sentence was like, yeah, you're such a badass, right? But essentially, it's really tainted, isn't it? But it's cool. You're a cool guy. You're Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, you know the type. Yeah, like, faceless mooks, they're fine. They're fine. They're fodder. They're cannon fodder. And you are technically allowed to defend yourself, or the hero is allowed to defend himself. So if a sword or gun is drawn on him, he is allowed to shoot. But at the end of the day, a hero's really not allowed to kill unless it's absolutely necessary. And even then, he should be finding a way out of it. And so this came up a lot with my new book, To Private Ford Rayburn. I actually had to rewrite a lot of scenes because my editor was pointing out that I had my hero kill, and I cannot do that. So yes, he does kill in the book, but it needs to be like there's no other options, essentially. And we were discussing this because, you know, at the end of the series, I have, it will be a series, I have so far 2 books written, one that's almost fully edited as of recording this video, and hopefully will be out by the time I publish this video. But, and then the second book I have to start editing. But I have 3 more books planned after that. And in it I have villains, and I have really, really big villains, right? The big baddies of the whole thing. And I was discussing, like, how do they die then? And I was discussing with my editor of, like, can my heroes kill the big baddies? They've been tortured throughout this whole series. Can they finally have justice? And he's like, no, because they are above that. That is the mark of a true hero, is that they do not kill to kill. That's what the villains do. And if you think about most of the really, really big action heroes that you think of like Luke Skywalker or Indiana Jones, quintessential Pulp Fiction type heroes, and you'll notice they never kill the big bad. Luke doesn't kill Darth Vader or the Emperor. Darth Vader sacrifices himself to kill the Emperor, and therefore has to die because that is his redemption, but he is still evil. But Luke doesn't do it. In fact, he lays down his lightsaber and says, I cannot do this, you are my father, blah-de-blah. Spoilers, yeah. And Indiana Jones, too, it's usually something will come up that will take care of the Nazi or whatever it is. And part of the issue with probably a lot of modern literature and movies and everything that we're seeing is that you're just seeing death willy-nilly. The heroes are just killing because now the story demands that you kill. And it's not a true hero, and it is bothering people. It bothered people about Man of Steel, actually, because in the end, Superman killed, oh, God, blanking on the villain's name in that movie, but Superman kills. I actually quite liked that, because I think it was a more nuanced take on this, because at that point, the only way this was going to end was in death. Like, they physically were evenly matched, so he could only kill Zod. He could only stop Zod by killing him, and it tormented him. If this had been done by a better writer-director, I think it actually would have been a very impactful movie. But obviously, people don't like that about Superman, and in fact, in the new Superman movie, to counter that, almost no one actually dies, even when they really should die, except for Superman's clone, which, who cares, right? Spoilers. Sorry. You know what, I might do a video on spoilers, because I really hate that, okay? I don't care about spoilers, we'll just start there. But we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's the hero should really not kill unless he has no other options. And as the writer, if you're writing a good hero, and especially if you're writing a good pulp story or action story, you should find other options, and you should really weigh what does it mean if the hero does kill, especially a big villain. And again, who cares about the fodder? The exception to this is actually the female hero, heroine. Yeah, she's allowed to do what she wants. That's because she's a female, and let's face it, females are physically weaker. So given the opportunity to kill, she needs to take it, else she will die. So, yeah, that was notable about, again, the most recent 2025 Superman movie is that the only real kill in the movie was from the Hawk Girl, the female superhero. And that's because she is the only one allowed. So I really did like that about that movie. I have other things I will say about that. I have other things I would say about that movie that were not great, but I think when it got to the fight scenes and the choreography and all that stuff, they did a really good job of understanding the brief about death in these sorts of things and killing and stuff. I mean, there's also the thing about, like, violence and gratuitous violence and where do we draw the line, but I think that's another video entirely. for tonight, I will just say, like, violence is okay for the most part. Like, I think we like a little bit of violence in our media. It's fun. And it doesn't do as much harm as people think it does. But, yeah, it's your hero cannot kill. And a lot of people seem to misunderstand that and misunderstand how to employ that. And, I mean, it's not that people are necessarily letting their heroes kill in stories as of late, but they're not careful about it, and I think they do start writing themselves into corners when they do that, because it starts to make the hero into not as much of a hero anymore. And that's like with Guts, like, I don't care if you say that he has a redemption in a later arc in that series, he's not atoning for his body count, and he doesn't seem to really care about his body count. And that's a villain, okay? He's more of a villain than a hero. He's not even an anti-hero. Anti-hero is like a Blade or John Wick. I know I'm using movies, but there have been so few really good adventure action pulp stories in the last few decades that it's actually really hard to pull. We've just had better movies doing this, and even lots of fantasy books or whatever, they just don't do it well, like, because this rule is just not applied. People don't seem to understand that be very careful with what your hero does, especially in literature. Berserk being a great example of, wow, just this would look really cool on the page, right? But yeah, if you want your hero to be a hero, you need to think what makes a hero. And the first rule is they cannot kill unless they really have to. You do have the anti-hero, but the anti-hero is more someone like with John Wick. He has a death wish. He's lost so much, and he's on a revenge arc. He's not there to be a paragon of good and hope and whatever. He is just there to be a force of nature, taking out the enemy, which is its own genre, story, and it's good. I think there's a place for that, but that's why he's not a hero. He's an anti-hero. The hero has to be a paragon of goodness and justice, and justice usually means I will bring the villain in to face a court of law. I am not the court of law.